principals here that work for us that had worked for Pine Cove, and man, it's a great, camp out there, and a lot of good people that work there at it. So I know that says a lot about you and the kind of person you are.
Oh, well, it was a long time ago. It was a lot of fun. But so you said you were Patrick's senior year was your first year as head coach. So were you the offensive coordinator then as he was coming up through the program?
I was. So when Patrick was in junior high, I was a quarterback coach, ran all of the quarterback camps here that we had. We do a football camp in the summer, and it's predominantly for our receivers and our quarterbacks. And so would have worked with Patrick there. That would have been my first experience with Patrick when he was about the 6th grade. When Patrick got to high school, I was the offensive coordinator from his freshman year through his junior year. And so Patrick was on the sideline with me his freshman year, charting plays for me, watching me call the offense so that he knew kind of what I was seeing, what we were looking for. And then, of course, his senior year, I was the offensive coordinator. I was the head coach, I'm sorry. And my brother took over as the offensive coordinator here for us. He was the offensive line coach before that.
So consistency, I'm sure, helped. But you said you kind of started working with Patrick, when he was about in 6th grade. And what were some things in him you saw that young that you're like, man, this guy might end up being something special?
Well, of course, the arm was the big thing. He could throw anybody that was out there on the field. And, just his athleticism. In junior high, Patrick was a high jumper. And, just had great athleticism. But the thing that always stood out to me about Patrick was his leadership skills.
Yeah, one thing that's I find interesting, and if I'm trying to remember this right, he wasn't heavily recruited, right? It was Tech, and then it was somebody else went for him, and that was it, right? Why? What was that? Because everyone thought he was going for baseball.
Yeah, this is a question I get asked quite a bit.
Yeah.
Patrick played, safety his sophomore year. And we had a quarterback here by the name of Hunter Taylor that went on to play at Stephen F. Austin. He was an all-state quarterback, a very good quarterback. And so there really wasn't a reason to make a change at the quarterback position. Patrick was such a good athlete that he started for us at the safety position and was a pretty good safety. And so he wasn't on the radar for a lot of programs out there as far as being a quarterback. His junior year, he battled and won the spot against a very good quarterback in Ryan Cheatham. And really, that was all kind of my doing. At that time, I was the offensive coordinator. I sat Patrick down and Ryan Cheatham, one of his best friends, and I said, guys, we've got an opportunity here to have a great team. And it's all going to hinge on the way that both of you kind of, go through this battle and the way that you handle this. One guy's going to come out and win the job. The other one's not. You're both great quarterbacks. And so, they handled it really well. We finished 10-2 that year. And a lot of that had to do, I think, with Patrick's, leadership and the way that he led and the way that he won that job. And so I think because he wasn't playing quarterback as a sophomore, I think that's why he was kind of under the radar. Everyone knew that, he was going to have an opportunity to go and play Major League Baseball. We didn't know where he was going to fall in the draft. And so, for that reason, I think every program was at a different stage. You've got TCU, who had just got burned with the quarterback that they had that got drafted in the MLB, and so he doesn't play there. Some of the things that Patrick does are kind of outside of the structure of the play, and so I think there were some questions there for people. Hey, is he going to be able to do this at the next level? And so for that reason, he wasn't very highly recruited, but a guy in Cliff Kingsbury who had just got finished with Johnny Manziel saw some things in Patrick and said, hey, this is a guy that I want to get. And so, for Patrick, it all worked out. He ended up going somewhere and playing for a coach that really wanted him and that saw the potential in what he could do. He helped develop that. Really did a better job probably at coaching than what I did. And, that's why his recruiting's been like it was.
I was going to say, I'm trying to remember all, because I know Tech had a lot of quarterbacks. I'm trying to remember. I don't think Patrick wasn't going in to be the starter, was he? Who was there? Was Baker? No, Baker was there, right? No.
Yeah,
Baker was there. He
there,
had Webb. Baker was there. Webb was there. Was he going in as the third guy?
I don't think so.
Was that right? I can't remember because I remember he had a ton of quarterbacks go through Tech, and I was like, man, this guy's had like 3 or 4 NFL quarterbacks go through his program. maybe that's why he ended up getting an NFL job after he lost the Tech job. But I always find that interesting, man. Cliff could just recruit quarterbacks like no one else, and he's also he could see talent when no one else did too.
Mm-hmm. He did a great job. But, Patrick, for us, it was always he was going to go there and compete and win the spot. We saw, Baker, and Baker's a good quarterback. I'm not trying to take anything away from him or Webb, but no doubt Patrick was a better quarterback. I mean, I knew it. I feel like Coach Kingsbury knew that he was going to come in immediately and he was going to compete for the position. Knew that it wasn't going to be easy. I mean, I don't know how much you guys have seen of that Oklahoma State when he got thrown into the game, but Patrick didn't do real well at the very beginning, and he had to learn and adapt his game and understand, what he could do outside of the structure of the play and what he couldn't do, and when to take those risks and when to take those gambles. But understand this, he was going there to be the starting quarterback, and that was his goal from the very beginning. It wasn't, hey, I'm going over here to sit behind these guys, I'm going to go and compete. And I think that's, why for me it was so important that he and Ryan Cheatham compete, against each other. You guys being high school coaches understand exactly what it is that I'm talking about. I share that story a lot. People don't really, really understand, that locker room and what it's like when you've got two best friends who are battling for the spot, and the only way to find out who's going to be the best one is going to be to let them play in a game. It's hard to do it in spring football. It's hard to do it, during the camp in the fall. The easiest place is to get out there on the field and let them split time, and that's what we did for 2 games. And then the 3rd game, Patrick kind of took over. It started raining. I didn't want to make a change at that point because, how many times have you seen somebody put a new quarterback in when it's raining, ball goes through his hands? And so, that's how Patrick actually won the position there. But his mindset's always been to compete and to earn that spot.
I'm sure Coach Douglas, too, can think of a handful of stories over his years of, just guys that you kind of challenge when you got 2 guys that are really competing for a spot, and especially one as important as the quarterback spot, to, you figure out real quick who wants it and who's willing to put in the work of that competition.
Coach, if you don't mind me asking, what position did that other young man play? Or did he play another?
He did. He ended up finishing out that season as the backup quarterback. Late in the year, we used him kind of as a tight end. And in the next season, he came back, and he was one of our inside receivers. We really didn't do a whole lot of RPOs. There was a little bit that we did. We were very up-tempo in everything that we did, ran kind of a NASCAR offense. And since he knew and understood the system and what we were doing, he and Patrick had a really special bond there. And Coach, Douglas, I don't know if you've ever lost quarterbacks before, but me being the quarterback coach, we've lost some before. And you see quarterbacks that transfer all the time, and they quit and they move on because they didn't win a spot. And that's why I love that story so much between those 2 best friends that were competing. And I'm telling you right now, Ryan Cheatham could have been a Division I quarterback. The 2 before Patrick both went to Stephen F. Austin, had great careers. And I'm telling you, Ryan Cheatham could have done the same thing.
The competition part of it is one of my favorite parts, just, watching kids compete every day. And, no matter your program, you're only going to have one of those guys typically on the field, one quarterback. Nobody really plays 2 quarterbacks. You end up moving somebody else out of there, whereas in my position as a D-line coach, I'm playing 3 guys at a time, and because we're at 3-4, and typically I'm rotating about 6 or 7 guys in there throughout the course of a night, at different times, giving guys rest. So it's always good to see that competition and see who kind of rises to the top and take that spot.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the only way to determine who the clear winner is, and it's it's a hard deal to do. And like I said, for me it was important just because we had lost some quarterbacks in the past, and I take that personally. I understand that it's their decision, and I don't agree with it, and I'm not going to harp on them. And that, you make decisions, and you got to live with them in the end. But me going into this one with this situation with 2 great quarterbacks, it's just going to be a matter of their mindset. And I go back to that comment of, hey, guys, we can have a great season this year, and it's going to depend on the way that you 2 handle this. And I feel like they handled it well. Ryan Cheatham and I are crying in the locker room the day that he, realizes, comes to the realization that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the starting quarterback. And, Ryan Cheatham was there at that Super Bowl. And that boy hugged me, man, when I saw him at the end of that game when those guys won the Super Bowl, and that was probably the highlight of my whole night. after seeing Patrick do that, and again, knowing the relationship with those guys and hearing Coach Douglas talk about that and the development of relationships with his coaches and his players. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this business is all about. It's about those relationships with those kids. And, coaching of Patrick Mahomes is a once-in-a-lifetime chance and an opportunity. I'm trying to do everything right here that I can to maximize it, just as coaches, pointing to that girl that he had that was a powerlifter now at Iowa. I mean, we're taking Patrick and pointing out all the things that he does to let them realize that, to set your goals, have some dreams, and then, work towards those goals. And that's really what this business is all about.
Coach, I've got a couple of questions. Jim Bly here. One, how special of an athlete was Brittany?
Now, I had Brittany in algebra class. She was in my, she was in my pre-AP algebra class. So Brittany was a really smart girl. But Brittany was a heck of an athlete. She could fly. She was a speedster. And you could tell she's in shape. But Brittany was a very good, athlete.
She's doing the physical workout stuff here in Kansas City now and making quite a name for herself. She's probably a drill sergeant, and she's probably driving Pat too, right?
Well, I mean, she does a good job of taking care of things that I think from day-to-day stuff for Patrick. But Brittany's not afraid. That she's a pretty strong-willed person. She was one of those very talkative girls in class, but I loved having her in class. Always had a good attitude, and I mean, she was just a joy to be around. But yeah, she doesn't mind taking charge. There's no doubt about that.
How special is it to watch these two? I mean, you watched them grow up in, high school and then through college and now through Patrick's career and her career. How special is that feeling to watch? I mean, I know what it's like whenever I cover kids and I watch them grow up at the next level. How special is that to Whitehouse, Texas?
Oh, it's been very special for us. It's again, the role models that they've become, the examples that we can point to. For the ones that are coming through. I was in the 7th and 8th grade boys athletics today watching those kids work out. And I mean, it's really, really special to us, and just, the relationships that we've been able to build with them and seeing what they've done there and the accomplishments that they've had and the fact that they're so young, 24 and 25 years old, they're just getting started in life. And, the one thing I did tell Patrick, at his draft party, was that all I asked him is he just gave me an invitation to the wedding whenever those two got married. And, I mean, that's what, again, back to relationships and coaching, that's what it's all about. I mentioned Hunter Taylor. He got married a couple of years ago, and, of course, I was invited to his wedding. And, man, that was a special day. And, that's what, this is all about. It's about the relationships and watching them. But it was very special to us and our community to see the success that those two have had.
We've learned here in Kansas City some stuff about Whitehouse, and Whitehouse has learned some stuff about Kansas City. One thing we've learned here, Red Friday. Is that going to continue? I know Friday nights is football night, and that's probably not your color in Whitehouse, Texas. Are you going to continue Red Friday there in Whitehouse?
No doubt we're going to continue. The football season here ends in early December, and that's whenever the Chiefs are just getting warmed up. So it works out perfectly for us. We get to finish up our football season and roll right into Red Fridays, but it's definitely something that we're going to, continue. And I tell you, the more that I learn about the Chiefs and about Kansas City and that community, and again, hearing Coach Douglas talk and yourself talk, I mean, it sounds like we're all cut from the same mold and people that believe, in faith and family. And that's what we stand for. And so, man, it's been real easy to become Chiefs fans here.
This is my last question for you. Have you had a chance to talk one-on-one with Andy Reid and your feelings about him if you have?
No, I have not. I look forward to the day that I can sit down with him, and the more that I get to know him and watch him, I'm very amazed by what he does. Very thankful and blessed that Patrick's there, being able to work underneath him and learn from Andy, watching his demeanor and the way that he handles Patrick, and then, the two of them over on the sideline reminds me of days when Patrick and I over on the sideline. Seeing him in the press conference, I was able to be at the press conference whenever Patrick received the MVP award Monday after the Super Bowl, and just watching Coach Reid from afar, he seems like a good man, and I definitely look forward to the time that I get to meet with him and sit down and kind of pick his brain a little bit.
So have you had a chance to come up to Kansas City yet and try any of our famous barbecue?
That I have not. Last year we made it for the playoff game versus the Colts, and I cannot tell you anything about Kansas City because